Hey, what's up guys, it's Mac on Track here, and today I'm going to be showing you 3 easy tips in order to make you work more like a pro and work faster here in Premiere. So in order to remember these tips, all you're going to want to do is remember CVA, IOJ, and I am gay. In order to remember these tips, all you're going to want to remember is CVA, IOJ, and overlay. So here's your first tip, is CVA. So CVA are actually keyboard tricks that you can use to cut your clips a lot more easily in Premiere. Now normally if you want to use the blade tool, you go over here and select the blade tool. But for our purposes, you can simply hit C on your keyboard and that will change the cursor to a blade tool. So if I hit C, wham bam, it's a blade tool. Now I can go along to my footage and start cutting out individual parts that I would like. Now if I want to turn it back into the normal cursor, all I have to do is then hit right next to it, V, and it's a normal cursor, and I can move my footage around again as much as I want to. Another handy tool is actually A. So let's say I make a blade here and a blade there, and I want to delete this footage and delete that footage, and I'll cut the audio here as well. Now let's say I want all this footage over here. Well, instead of having to zoom all the way out and grab all the footage and have to drag it all the way over, which is certainly a fine way of doing it, I can also hit A on my keyboard, and that will give me this tool, which allows me to select everything beyond the point that I click. So everything beyond the point that I click, I can now drag over like this. This is really helpful, especially if you have a lot of short, tiny cuts and you're trying to make it fast-paced, so you can just take your CTC and then drag them all back with A and then hit V again to return it to the normal cursor. The next tip involves bringing in footage from your project window into the sequence. So here I've got some footage of my friend playing guitar, and in order to take this footage in, normally I'd have to select a certain part or just select the whole thing and bring it in here. Well, that isn't really efficient. So if I know there's a certain part of this video that I want, all I have to do is hit I, which starts the cut of the footage, and then I can hit space to make it play, and then I can hit O, and that's the point that I want. And if that's the point that I want to stop the cut, then I'll hit O. And then if I want to reverse it, then I just hit J, and it will reverse the footage for just a second if I want to, or however long I make it. And then I hit O again. Okay, now that's the perfect part that I want. And voila, then I can drag it into here. Now this sounds like a small detail, but it's super helpful when you only want a small amount of footage and don't want to have to edit it all inside the sequence. And last but not least, overlay. So as you can see here, I've got a bunch of different footage laid over each other. And essentially all I did was I took my footage and brought it to different levels here in the video sequence. Now what this is really handy for is if I want to switch from one shot to the next, all I have to do is make a cut on the top layer and then drag with this little red arrow here and drag it back as far as I want it. And that allows me to move it however I'd like to. So I can move it forward, I can move it back, whichever direction I want to. This is really helpful, especially when you're doing something like multicam footage where you need to have both clips change from one another to one another really quickly. And it's been super helpful in editing band footages. Alright, there you have it. There are 3 super simple, super easy tips for Premiere Pro beginners to make your editing faster and more professional. If you guys would like to see the actual finished video for this, for which I use this test footage, feel free to check out the description. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.